Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to your daily weather update. I'm Will, and in today's forecast, we've got some serious winter weather unfolding across the country. A major storm system is building strength, and this one isn't coming alone. There are three powerful winter storms lining up to impact the U.S. over the next several days. We'll start with the big picture. Right now, cold air is pouring down from Canada, setting the stage for a massive clash of temperatures across the central U.S. Meanwhile, moisture from the Gulf of Mexico is surging northward, fueling these developing systems. This combination is setting up the first of these storms, which is already taking shape over the plains. By late tonight into early Tuesday, this storm will intensify as it moves east, spreading snow, ice, and freezing rain from Kansas all the way through the Ohio Valley. Snowfall totals won't be extreme with this first system, but it will set the stage for much bigger impacts later in the week. The second system, which is looking like the most intense of the three, will take a more southerly track, bringing heavier snow and possible ice accumulations to parts of the Midwest and the Northeast. Cities like Chicago, Indianapolis, and Columbus are in the crosshairs for significant snowfall by midweek. And it's not just the North dealing with winter's wrath. By the time we get to the weekend, the third system could throw an unusual winter punch to parts of the Southeast. We're talking about the potential for snow in places that rarely see it, like parts of northern Georgia, Alabama, and even the Carolinas. All right, now that we have the big picture, let's dive into today's biggest weather hazards, because this storm is already making an impact. We're talking about heavy snowfall, dangerous ice accumulation, and powerful winds that could lead to hazardous travel and even some power outages in certain areas. Let's start in the central part of the country, where the first system is rapidly strengthening. Right now, snow is already falling across Kansas, Nebraska, and parts of Iowa, and it's picking up in intensity. Areas along Interstate 70 and Interstate 80 are experiencing low visibility and rapidly accumulating snow. By tonight, this system will shift eastward, bringing moderate to heavy snow to cities like Chicago, Indianapolis, and Columbus. We could be looking at anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of snow in some areas, especially where banding sets up. If you're traveling through these regions, expect road conditions to deteriorate quickly. One thing to watch is the potential for snow banding. That's where the storm sets up narrow zones of heavy snow, which could lead to localized higher totals. Some spots could easily exceed 10 inches if they end up under one of these intense snow bands. Now, while the Midwest is dealing with snow, parts of the Northeast are facing a completely different problem: ice. This storm system is pulling in just enough warm air from the Atlantic to create a dangerous freezing rain event across parts of Pennsylvania, New York, and New England. Right now, models are showing the highest risk of ice stretching from eastern Pennsylvania into parts of upstate New York and western Massachusetts. Some locations could see a quarter-inch or more of ice, and that's enough to bring down tree limbs and power lines. If you're in these areas, be prepared for possible outages and treacherous roads tonight into tomorrow morning. And then there's the Southeast. Some southern states could see rare winter weather later this week. The third storm in this series is expected to dip farther south, bringing cold air deep into places like northern Georgia, Alabama, and even the Carolinas. Right now, models suggest we could see a mix of snow, sleet, and even freezing rain in spots that don't usually get winter storms. Right now, it's still too early to pinpoint exactly how much snow could fall in these areas, but if the cold air hangs around long enough, some places could pick up an inch or two, which is a big deal for the South. Even small amounts of snow or ice can cause major disruptions, so if you're in these regions, stay tuned for updates. One more thing we can't overlook: strong winds. This storm is packing a punch, with wind gusts expected to reach 40 to 50 miles per hour in parts of the Great Plains and Midwest. These winds could create blizzard-like conditions in areas with heavy snowfall, reducing visibility to near zero. If you're out driving, be extra cautious, especially on open roads and highways. So to recap, heavy snow is hitting the Midwest, dangerous ice is a threat in the Northeast, and we're watching for an unusual winter event in the South later this week. On top of that, strong winds could make conditions even worse in some areas. We'll continue to track this storm system, but next, we're diving into the extended forecast, what happens after this first wave moves through. Stay with us. If you want to help the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Now, let's focus in on the Midwest, where this next winter storm is ramping up and set to bring heavy snowfall, strong winds, and dangerous road conditions. If you're in the path of this storm, get ready, because this one could be a major headache, especially for travelers. Right now, we're seeing widespread snowfall across Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, with some areas already picking up several inches. This system is tracking east and will gain intensity overnight into Wednesday, bringing heavier snowfall to Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Cities like Chicago, Indianapolis, and Columbus are all in line for a significant winter blast. Let's break down the snowfall estimates. Chicago could see anywhere from 6 to 10 inches, with heavier lake effect snow developing later. Indianapolis is looking at 5 to 8 inches, with gusty winds reducing visibility. Columbus could see 4 to 7 inches, with periods of intense snowfall rates around 1 inch per hour. Now, let's talk about the wind. As this system moves through, we're expecting wind gusts of 30 to 45 miles per hour, which could create blizzard-like conditions in parts of the Midwest. If you have travel plans, be aware that visibility will be extremely poor at times, especially in rural areas and open highways. Roads could become impassable in some places. Speaking of travel, if you're heading out on Interstate 70, 80, or 90, you'll want to double-check road conditions before leaving. These highways are likely to see dangerous driving conditions with snow-covered roads and reduced visibility. So bottom line, this storm is going to be a major event for the Midwest. Heavy snow, strong winds, and hazardous travel conditions will dominate the next 24 to 48 hours. Up next, we'll break down the impact this system will have on the Southeast, where rare winter weather could make an unexpected appearance. Stay tuned. Now let's talk about the Southeast, where an unusual winter storm could bring rare snowfall and freezing rain to areas that don't usually see much winter weather. If you're in parts of northern Georgia, Alabama, or the Carolinas, this could be a significant event. Let's take a closer look at what's happening. Right now, we have a developing low-pressure system moving across the Gulf Coast, pulling in moisture from the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. At the same time, a surge of cold Arctic air is dropping down from the north, setting up the perfect conditions for wintry precipitation in parts of the South. But how much snow and ice are we actually looking at? Let's break it down by region. Northern Georgia and Alabama could see light snow with up to 1 inch in higher elevations like the foothills near Birmingham and Atlanta's northern suburbs. The Carolinas will likely see a mix of sleet, freezing rain, and light snow, with up to 1/4 inch of ice possible in western North Carolina, including Asheville. And Tennessee and Kentucky are expected to receive moderate snow with 2 to 4 inches likely in areas like Nashville and Knoxville, and even higher amounts possible in the Appalachian Mountains. The biggest concern here is ice accumulation. While snow is rare in the South, ice is the real problem. Freezing rain could coat trees, power lines, and roads, leading to hazardous travel conditions and potential power outages. If you have travel plans along Interstate 20, 40, or 85, expect delays and potential road closures due to icy conditions. Even a thin layer of ice can cause dangerous black ice, so be extra cautious on bridges and overpasses, which tend to freeze first. The good news is this winter event will be short-lived. By late Thursday into Friday, temperatures will rise above freezing, and any snow or ice that does accumulate will begin to melt. However, the next big storm system is already on the horizon, so stay tuned for what's next. Now let's turn our attention to the Pacific Northwest, where another major storm system is set to bring heavy rain, mountain snow, and strong winds over the next few days. If you're in Washington, Oregon, or Northern California, get ready for some rough weather. Right now, a powerful atmospheric river event is setting up off the coast. This means we have a long plume of moisture stretching from the Pacific Ocean directly into the Pacific Northwest, fueling heavy precipitation across the region. This storm is expected to slam into the coast by Wednesday night and continue through Friday. Let's break down what's expected. Seattle and Portland could see 1 to 3 inches of rain over the next 48 hours, with localized flooding possible in low-lying areas. Northern California will also see heavy rain along the coast, with some areas near the Bay Area and Sacramento picking up as much as 4 inches by the weekend. Meanwhile, the Cascades and Sierra Nevada are in for major snowfall, with some locations seeing up to 2 feet by the time this storm moves out. If you're heading into the mountains, be prepared for serious snowfall. The Cascades and the Sierra Nevada will see some of the heaviest snow of the season, with totals reaching 12 to 24 inches, and possibly more in higher elevations. This will create dangerous travel conditions, especially on Interstate 5 through the Siskiyou Summit and Interstate 90 through the Cascades. In addition to all the rain and snow, we're also dealing with strong winds along the coastline. Wind gusts could reach 50 to 60 miles per hour, especially along the Oregon coast and in higher elevations. This could lead to downed trees and power outages, so if you live in these areas, be prepared. So, to sum it up, this is a classic Pacific Northwest winter storm. Heavy rain for the lowlands, feet of snow for the mountains, and strong winds to top it all off. If you're traveling in this region, expect delays and rapidly changing conditions. But this isn't the only system on the horizon. We're tracking another storm right behind this one, so stay tuned for updates.